Welcome to this episode of the Heartbeat for Hire podcast. I feature Olympians, CEOs, disruptors, authors, professional athletes, and the best of the best, where they share their stories of resilience with my lens on leadership and culture. Let's get started. Greetings and welcome to this episode of the Heartbeat for Hire podcast. 3 things you will learn from this episode. Number 1, the biggest mistakes startups and small businesses make. Number 2, some SIMPLE, simple, things you can do every day to build lasting success. Number 3, the critical importance of failure. With 27 years of entrepreneurial experience as a 7-time founder and 3-time exiter, if that's a word, Adam House has taken companies from Napkin to NASDAQ. He navigated the joys of winning at the highest levels and the lows of the entrepreneurial grind. He is a speaker, founder, community builder, podcast host, chaplain for the Miami Heat, and a former basketball player. Adam, welcome to the show.
Oh, it's great to be here. I'll tell you what, you picked the right guy to talk about failure. So I'm here. I got plenty of it.
You are in a safe space, and I'm so delighted that you're on the show. So I start every show the same, and I always ask our guest, could you share a little more of your story?
Well, I appreciate that. And yeah, 27 years, lot to talk about, but really my entrepreneurial career started in high school. So my sophomore year, I had the honor of working for Dan Gilbert, founder of Rocket Mortgage. And at the time, it was just a small mortgage company, 80, 90 people. But being in that environment, it was just like getting a Harvard MBA, and I didn't even know what I was learning. Then went to college for my freshman year, found out that was not for me. I saw the amount of money the mortgage guys were making, and then I'm sitting in a class listening to professors that are making, less than $100,000 a year. So that just was not for me. So I dropped out, started my first business out of my apartment, a couple $100, turned it into a multi-million-dollar business, sold that in 2007. Then had a mobile technology company, sold that for 30 times revenue, 18 months idea to exit. And then I had a midlife crisis at 32. So when you talk about the professional basketball piece, most people think it was college, then basketball, but I went at it a different way. When I sold my second company, I was like, well, I've been a CEO since I was 19. If I don't do something I love, I'll regret it for the rest of my life. And I was actually living in Boston, where you are, because I sold my company to Akamai.
Yes.
And so trained for 6 months, got invited to a combine in Dayton, Ohio. Then ended up getting invited to the main camp in Rochester, New York, and made the team. So the best part about this story is they found out my business background. And so the owner of the team calls me and he says, Adam, like, what are you doing the rest of the day? You're a business guy, you got 3 kids. And I said, well, nothing really. And he said, well, come on in the office. I'll make you a co-owner and CEO of the team. And, it sounds great, co-owner of a pro sports, semi-pro sports franchise, but they don't make any money. It was just more cool. Hey, here's
Title.
this business guy that's also on our team. But I helped them land a deal with Nike and some other sponsors. And after that, I had to grow back up and started a healthcare analytics business. So you mentioned Napkin to NASDAQ. So I had no background in healthcare and went to lunch with a non-practicing physician. And he said, Adam, can you help me build this team? I know you just exited a tech company. I had no idea how to do it. But of course, I said,
Of
absolutely, I can do
course.
that. Yeah, of course I
Sure.
can. So long story short, started that company. They just recently went public a couple of years ago, did a couple other ventures after that. And I kind of reached that point in life where my purpose and passion could be my profession. And so I started a community called the House of Bricks that works with entrepreneurs from early stage to seed to Series A, raising capital, helping with their financial model, investor presentations, go-to-market strategy, and really leveraging my failures to not help them skip the struggle. If anyone tells you they can
Yeah,
have,
there's no
have,
easy
have a
button.
recipe to do that, but you can avoid paying the dummy tax. So I've paid a lot of that over 27 years. So there is advice and ways to get through things with less pain than you need to and avoid some of those landmines. So that's where we are today. As you mentioned, I got a podcast called The House of Bricks. I'm very active on LinkedIn doing live events. Started keynote speaking again this year. Have some things booked in October. And other than that, I just hang out and do nothing.
Yeah, nothing. Right. Well, thank you. That was amazing. So you've obviously had a lot of experience with all different size companies. What are some of the biggest mistakes that you've seen and from your community that you've seen kind of repeated from both the startups and really the entrepreneurs that are trying to scale their small businesses?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking that question and how I've always lived my life. And I didn't know where it would end up, but I've always been just test, fail, learn, grow. I didn't have a methodology for it at the time or terms, but even that was birthed through failure. So you always have to start before you're ready because you never are. And a lot of entrepreneurs, probably the biggest two mistakes that they make. Number one, just not starting at all. Number two is trying to scale too quickly. So you
Yeah.
talked about our simple framework, right? So you got to have a strategy. Where am I now? Where do I want to go? How am I going to get there? And I can promise you, how you're going to get there is not what you think, right? And that's where the test, fail, learn, grow comes into play. So the I stands for innovation, and that's our test, fail, learn, grow model. The M is mindset. You got to have the right mindset, right? Because at the beginning, you have the dreams. And when you get through that process, you need a strong mindset because your dreams are going to meet reality.
Mhm.
Then, once you have a good mindset, you've tested, failed, learned, and grew, you then are in a position where you can look at patterns, right? Because actions create data. That data gives us feedback, and we can make better decisions down the road. So we're looking at patterns in business, and that's why I've been able to start businesses in so many different industries because there are patterns in business. And then the L stands for leverage, right? Leverage is a natural output of consistently doing the right things every day over time. It's not a lever that you pull at the beginning of your business. And then lastly, E stands for execution. So, founders are often trying to execute too early and they're executing on the wrong things.
Yeah, that's super comprehensive. Thanks for taking us through that. You talk a lot about small wins and how important small wins are. What do you mean by that? And what's your advice for people that are kind of in that paralysis moment of, oh God, I have so much to do and I don't know where to go first?
Well, it goes back to the test, fail, learn, grow. So every action is actually a win. So win, learn, win, learn, win, learn. And the more you do that, I mentioned it earlier, it's how Warren Buffett has built his fortunes on, compound interest and the compound effect. It builds over time. So you're winning, you're learning, you're winning, you're learning, you're still going and climbing because the losses actually teach you more than winning. You don't
100%.
win anything by learn anything by winning. And that's not my quote. It's Steve Jobs. Give credit where credit is
It's
due,
a
but
fact.
it is a fact. So, and a good guy to listen to.
Indeed. Indeed. I love that. So, when you have groups of entrepreneurs and you mentioned it before, and that's mindset. And I'm seeing so many of these people, both clients and friends, that are coming to me, and it might be the way the stars are aligned or the big blood moon we just had or whatever it was. Mindset is something that people are really struggling with right now. And I don't know if you're seeing it in your community, but what's your advice for people to really be thinking about that abundance mindset? And how do you snap them out of that scarcity of, I don't have enough resources to do this, or I don't have enough experience to do that? How do you advise them?
Well, mindset can mean a lot of things. And typical American culture, we overdo everything. So I think people have gotten too far into the mindsets and their morning routines. Like when I started my first business, I wasn't meditating, I wasn't
Nope.
doing yoga, I was journaling, I was waking up at 5 a.m. and busting my ass all day until I couldn't work anymore. And then I did it again. You see these people like Tony Robbins, and he's
Mhm.
got his cold pool and his infrared sauna. He was washing his clothes in a bathtub
Yeah.
and drying them on the stove. So like I think it's whatever you can consistently commit to, that's what builds the confidence in yourself. So the
Mm,
more I set a goal, I commit to it, my confidence is building. So the higher level degree of difficulty in the morning routine you set, the less likely you are to keep it and the worst place you'll be in when you stop. So
right.
the key is not quantity, it's quality and consistency.
Yeah, I love that. You talk a lot about consistency, and I think you also talk about regret, um, the cost of regret. You want to go there and explain what you mean by that?
Well, I do. And if we can talk on a personal
Yeah,
standpoint. So,
100%.
I grew up in a broken home. Yeah, I mean, good, middle class family, but my parents did get a divorce. And, at the time, it broke my heart to see my dad leave. And in high school, we had a broken relationship. And I kind of reached a point when my first son was being born, like I realized like my dad had to love me. He was just inheriting things that were passed down to him, and just why carry that unforgiveness? Because carrying unforgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. And
Yeah.
fortunately, I was able to restore that relationship, and he was going to fly down and see my newborn son, and he passed away in the driveway. So,
Oh, Adam.
um, imagining the bill of regret there. And I look at, just deathbed decisions when you're carrying that regret into the grave, it's a bill you can never pay.
That's right.
And so that is, my passion is to really get people to understand where, how, what the other person is carrying, right? It's really not about you, it's them. And so, what's the point of living in bitterness, and you're going to end up regretting it.
Yeah, it's a shame that people the whole concept of forgiveness, it's not you're forgiving the other person for them, you're forgiving them for you.
Yeah,
And I don't think a lot of people really get that. And I think it's also, don't confuse forgiveness with carte blanche, I approve of what you did. It's I
right.
forgive you for the decisions that you made with the tools and the capacity that you had, and your actions were not actions I liked, but I forgive you for them because it was the best you could do. And having peace with that um, really helps you carry on with your life. But what about regret when it comes to new opportunities and fear? Because I think a lot of people are held back by, I've never done this before. That feels really uncomfortable. I'm not very good at that. How could I do that? I've never hosted a podcast before. I've never written a book before. I've never spoken to a room full of people. Like, what do you say to them?
Start today, because no one's ready. No one's ready to get on a stage. Even though I've been on stages, I still have that. But something they need to remember is that faith and fear always coexist,
Mhm.
right? And with an opportunity, there has to be that choice, or there's no opportunity. So you either have the faith to recognize that and start before you're ready, or you can let fear hold you back. And it really is the same frequency in your brain, faith and fear. It's which belief system that you want to act in.
Mm. Love that. All right, changing gears a little. What inspires you?
I love to win. I love to work. I love to win, and I'm a competitor. It's never really been about the money for me. Maybe it's being an athlete, but some of it does, go back to your childhood too. You're looking for approval, and kind of early in my career, I realized that the more success I had, the further I could keep people away from me. So
Mm,
you have to think about, that is that a defense mechanism? And over time now, I've realized like the importance of being authentic, being transparent. And it's really not just for you, it's for the relationship that you can build, because other people want to help you too. So I've always had the give first mindset and giving to other people, but you can't pour from an empty cup. And so I would just give myself into, oblivion basically, and decimate myself.
that's right.
And I've realized the best form of leadership is self leadership. So if I can build myself up, then I have more to give to others, then I can receive more and give more. And then it creates this
Mhm.
flywheel of abundance that we're talking about. So it's a flywheel. It's not linear, just give, receive. It builds over time, and it never stops as long
Mhm.
as you keep living that way.
What would you like your legacy to be?
Someone, this is the second time I've been asked that in 24 hours. And
Sorry,
Uh,
I ask it on every episode.
no, I know. And I was on the board of the Legacy Institute in Dubai,
Hmm.
and we flew out there, and it was to really help these generational families. So you had either A, the dad didn't think the son was qualified enough to take over the inheritance, or the son was like, Dad, I hate you. You were never around. All you cared about business. I don't want your money. Of course, they got to a point where they did want the money, but that's where they would start, right?
Hmm.
But my legacy, I've got to think about that. It's kind of changed over time. Always wanted to be a good present father. I've got four boys. That's always been important to me. But if I had to think of something, I would just say one that inspires others. That's really what I'm doing. I post about this like I'm not after likes or comments or views, but I've had this happen to me before. You've heard something 1,000 times, but then you hear it on 1,001 times, and that one moment changes your life forever. So the more I talk, the more I increase my luck surface area, the more people I can impact and find the one.
And that, my friend, is why I have a show. And my, I mean, truly, that is why I created this show. I wanted people to have examples of what great leadership looks and feels like. I don't think there's enough great culture out there. And I wanted people to understand resilience. And so,
Yeah,
whether you get it from a former pro basketball player or a CEO or a Hollywood producer or a doctor or a speaker, I don't care how you get it, as long as you get it.
yeah.
And that's really what prompted me to build this show. I get so much joy out of sharing these stories, and especially when they've come back from hard things, it's to show people you can do
Right.
anything you believe you can, and surround yourself with the people that want to see you win. So I know you believe that with your community and everything that you've been building. So what's next for Adam?
Well, I want to do definitely add something to what you just
Go,
said.
please.
And in the House of Bricks, we don't have profile envy. Okay. And so the people that you just mentioned,
Yeah.
CEOs, athletes, and are they really the best person to learn from about resilience? And you could be a guy at a gas station that teaches a job,
You bet.
teaches a guy that doesn't have a job how to get a job at a gas station. Like wherever you are,
Mhm.
you can help someone else, kind of bring them forward. And then if someone else is mentoring you, again, it just creates that flywheel. But, to me, the guy at the gas station with three kids working 80 hours a week trying to put food on the table, that's resilience.
Yeah. Well, it comes in all forms.
Yeah.
And I believe that too. And we've had incredible stories from people that have been homeless and people that have lost everything and come back and lost it all again and come back. And I agree with you. The human story is a beautiful thing, and it doesn't necessarily have to come from a CEO, but sometimes when you can put that bright, shining example of, what's possible, it really, really helps. So,
Absolutely.
what's next for you?
Well, I'm doing it. I really don't. I've never started a business with the idea of exiting. And all of my other businesses, I didn't really have a passion for. It was just opportunity. I didn't have a background in direct marketing. I didn't have a background in mobile technology or healthcare or
Hmm.
sales training. But now, like, this is my DNA. This
Yeah,
is who I am. And it's 27 years in the making. And we have our trademark is, building brick by brick. You can either carry life's experiences with you and they weigh you down and they're heavy, or you can lay them down and build a strong foundation and turning obstacles into stepping stones. And so that is really who I am. So this isn't really a job for me. It
yeah,
just happens to be a great way to impact others. And now our business, we've listen, if anyone tells you they have the secret to success, I've been doing this 27 years. We're still getting our butt kicked every day for the last 2 years. And
yeah,
just now, we've hit that inflection point. And that's why I'm smiling so much because I'm seeing the opportunities. 2 months ago, just still in that struggle zone, but I know enough when I'm in it and I know enough when we're on our way out. And that's where I am now. So really, I don't see an end to my podcast. I don't see an end to the speaking. and our advisory services, the impact we're making in these businesses, just don't have an exit in sight.
That's the best way to build and to live. So I love that. And when you are so inspired by the work that you're doing, it doesn't feel like work. And what a phenomenal example for your kids. For them to see their parents happy. I know for me, just my own experience, when you can see your parents happy, it changes the way you look at them. It changes the way you see the world. It changes the way you model the world. And that's a really important gift. So nicely done.
Thank you.
You're welcome. How can people find you?
The best place to find me is on LinkedIn. So Adam House Senior, just look me up. Houseofbricks.io is our website. But if you just want to connect with me on LinkedIn, I'm very visible there. And you can find everything you need about me on LinkedIn is probably the easiest
Awesome.
place. Yeah.
Anything you want to tell them about the community?
If you're interested in being around people that believe in the most valuable capital in the world, which is relationship capital, we're all one conversation away from changing the rest of our lives forever.
Love that.
And it's a curated community. We have about 50 members. I'm not running spam ads and putting a bunch of people in there. So it's select. It's not an elitist group. Like I said, no profile envy. If you want to grow, you want to help inspire others. And there is definitely great entrepreneurship guidance in there, how to use LinkedIn, go-to-market strategy, all of those things we talk about at a high level, and love to learn more. And I do want to add, uh, one of our foundational bricks is empowering veterans
Mm.
as they transition into the workforce. So if you know any veterans, you're a veteran, reach out to me. Love to help you with your business as well.
We know a lot of veterans, and there's a lot of veterans listening to this show. So, guys, reach out to Adam, please. And if you liked what you heard, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave a 5-star review at Apple or Spotify. We're 152 episodes in. I hope you love the show as much as I love producing it for you. Go out there, share, tell a friend. And Adam, thank you for being a fabulous guest.
Oh, thank you.
Have a great day, everyone. Get out there, go lead with heart. Take care of yourselves. Are you ready to elevate your leadership style and create an exceptional workplace that stands out from the crowd? I'm here to introduce you to a game-changing resource that will transform the way you lead and shape your company culture. It's time to embrace the power of top-down culture. This practical guide empowers your leadership for lasting success, helping you create a workplace where everyone thrives. Get top-down culture today, and let's reshape the future of leadership together. Thanks for listening to this episode of Heartbeat for Hire. I hope you enjoyed what you heard. If you did, please subscribe to my YouTube channel or consider leaving a 5-star review and a great rating at Spotify or Apple. Thank you so much for your support. Have a great day.